Hi, this is Troxel. In this tutorial we're going to continue on with removing the empty spaces from the timeline, and previously we have found where the audio sections are. We have removed the extra regions from that section, and now let's reverse the regions so that the regions we have left are the areas without talking. Then we will know exactly which sections we need to remove because those will be the regions that are left. So let's see how we can do that. Here we are now adding the reverse regions routine. So basically everywhere where there wasn't a region we want to make a region, and everywhere where there was a region we want to not make a region. So let's look at that routine. Here is our reverse regions routine. The first thing I need to do is save this information. And so I am going to create me an array list for all of the region starts. So that's going to be a new array list. And then I'm going to create me an array list for the region length, which is also going to be a new array list. Then I'm going to go for each of the regions, just call it my region, in myvegas.project.regions. I'm going to do a region.start.add and save the myRegion.position. Then I'm going to do a region_length.add and save the myRegion.length. So now every one of the regions starts and lengths will be added into these two arrays, and I will be able to access those later. Then I need to get rid of all current regions on the timeline. For an integer of I, and I'm going to start with the myvegas.project.regions.count -1. Remember, they're zero based. I'm going to keep going until while I is greater than or equal to 0. Then I'm going to subtract 1 each time. What I want to do is go through the myvegas.project.regions.remove, and then I'm going to get rid of myvegas.project.regions, the ith one. We have to go backwards because if we went forward, everything moves forward every time we delete one. So as soon as we deleted region 0, the next one would become region 0. So I can't count forward. My best way is to just start backwards. And so if there's 5 regions, then I will delete region 4, 3, 2, 1, and then 0. Then I'm creating me a time code called next start. And I'm creating me a time code of 0 there. Now I'm going to go through each one of the region starts. So those are the array that we created up here. I'm going to do an integer I equals 0, while I is less than region start.count. I'm going to increment by 1. Then if I equals 0, did the first region begin at 0? So if the time code of region start I is greater than 0, then I want to create a region from 0 to where that one started. So we would add a region to the timeline from 0 and then to the time code, which is represented by region start I. And that will be where the first one is added if there is a blank space before the first one. If the first region began at 0, then we don't have to add a region before it. So otherwise, what we want to do is we want to add a region to the timeline, and we wanted to add it to the next start position, and then we want to get the time code for the region start, the ith one, minus the next start is going to be our length. Where did this next region start minus where we want our next absent area to start? So next start is going to be the beginning of a silent section. We're going to start at the beginning of the next silent section, and then the length is going to be from the start of this silent section to where the next region started, minus where this new silent section starts will be our length. And then we're going to set our next start equal to the time code of the region start that we're looking at plus the time code of the region length that we're looking at. And then we're just going to go through all the regions. Now remember, this add region to timeline is the routine that we talked about in the first tutorial, which was up here. Add region to timeline. And so all it's doing is creating the new region and then adding it to the timeline using this add command here. So now all this routine has done is it has gone through each one, saved the information of the noise areas, deleted all those markers, and then created new regions where those regions were not. Let's test it out. Here's the first one we were testing with. Notice it does not start at the beginning of the timeline. And now we have a region from the beginning of the timeline to the start of this one. And then our next region is in this silent area. Our third region is in this silent area. And our fourth region is in this silent area. And then there is no more silent areas except for what's after the end. Okay, let's look at this one. Once again, you can see we have a silent area number 1, silent area number 2, and silent area number 3. In this one we have 2 silent areas. And then in this one, we have a little bitty one here at the beginning, number 2, number 3, number 4 is way over here. Notice it skipped over all these. 5 is there, and then we have 6 and 7. And they all appear to be properly placed. So now that we've found what we've been calling the red areas, the areas with no audio, we can then go through and close all of those gaps. We'll talk about that in the next tutorial, and we'll see you there. Make sure you subscribe, make sure you like, and let's finish this thing next week. Please sign up at www.jettv.com and subscribe on YouTube to get further notifications on when new videos are presented.